Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined today by Andy Lang, our golf betting expert over at WagerTalk.com. Andy has never had a losing season, and he's off to a pretty good start at Bump Sports on Twitter if you'd like to give him a follow. Andy, you will be seeing us all summer long, the big events up until the Tour Championship this fall. You also do weekly golf videos with one of my favorite guys over at WagerTalk, Dan. Let everybody know where they can get your stuff week in and week out.
Yeah, just look at the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We give out all of our best information, and we also do a free article every single week. So if you go to my profile page, you'll get players that can trip you up, our DraftKings darlings, stats, everything. That's just a free article. It's a free download. Doesn't cost anything. So a lot of information. And then, of course, we do the videos every week with Dan, give out a best bet. But then, of course, for the majors, Kelly, we got to bring in, the heavy hitters here, So when it's major time, it's always great to see you and do golf videos for you. And we are in store for a big boy tournament. This is not for the faint of heart. This course is going to eat guys up this week.
I love it. I saw a tweet from Max Homa yesterday saying he got his wife a trip to Rochester, New York for Mother's Day. That is where we are going to be for the PGA Championship, Oak Hill. This is only the second major of the season, so tell me what we know about this course.
Oh, man, is this thing long. You kind of see a lot of these courses in New York. They're long. They're kind of damp and moist, so you don't get a lot of roll out of the drives. And this is kind of similar to Bethpage Black in that kind of form. They actually played here in 2013 in a major, but this course is completely different. They took out a ton of trees. They made the course longer. They revamped the bunkers. You're going to see some different grass on the greens. But what you need to know is it's been pretty wet up in that area. So you're going to have these greens that are going to be sticky, but they've taken away a lot of the rough outside of the green. So if you miss the green, the ball is going to roll off. And we talked about how long the course is. This is a par 70 at 7,400 yards. That is a long, long ways. And these guys are used to tearing up the par fives. These par fives are 600 plus yards. So as much as it favors the Bombers, they're not going to be able to tear apart these par fives, which is where they really, really thrive. So you're going to see these guys get frustrated. There was already a quote from somebody who walked the course this morning. They said, "How was it?" And he said, "Fine if you can drive the ball 320 yards in air," which not many people on tour can do. You're going to see a lot of very long iron approaches, which is why around the green and length off the tee are going to be the two biggest stats I look at. Nobody's going to be able to hit a bunch of these greens. The proximity to the hole is going to be long. You need to be on your A game with chipping and putting and off the tee. You have to bomb it out there. They've lengthened that they've made the fairways wider, so it's not as punishing into the trees, but you do have to hit it a mile. So instead of having to hit 3-iron or 4-iron into these greens, maybe you can have a 5 or a 6 with a little bit more loft. Make no mistake, though, this is going to be tough. It's going to be very, very frustrating, but this is what a PGA Championship is. Traditionally, it's a very long course. It can be wet. It's going to be very difficult, very physically demanding. It's a great course, and it's really going to test the best of the best.
That sounds like we may get a dark horse bet from you, but before we get there, we got to talk about the big names. And here's my caveat with these guys, right? We all know the Scottie Schefflers of the world. We know the Jon Rahms, the Rory McIlroys, Jordan Spieths. But I feel like as a recreational golf bettor, I never get a ton of value there. Can you explain that for me or our audience? Because I think that's maybe almost like a stigma in my betting brain.
Well, the big name guys over the last couple years have really, really started to show the cream rises to the top. And especially in majors, the big names are going to win these things. I mean, Jon Rahm won the Masters, first major of the year. So you look back at, well, who's been winning these majors? Well, you have Justin Thomas. You have Matthew Fitzpatrick. You have Cameron Smith before he bolted to live. Phil Mickelson is the gigantic outlier, but what he did was once in a lifetime. And then you go down the list. You got Scottie Scheffler, Colin Morikawa. So the big names are winning these majors. It's tough because everyone likes to try and cash that 40-1, that 50-1. It doesn't happen in the majors. So you do have to look at the big name guys. And if you don't want to bet them outright because they're at, 7-1, 8-1, you can always take advantage of these top 20s, top 40s, and head-to-head matchups. So when we're looking at big names, Jon Rahm, Scottie Scheffler, I've got Jason Day and Cameron Young as some names. Jon Rahm and Scottie Scheffler, listen, they've been fighting for number one, number two in the best golfer in the world. They're going to be there. They can drive the ball long ways. My worry with Scottie Scheffler is his putting. His putting can come and go, but he's so good tee to green that he can make up for it. Jason Day absolutely torched us at the Masters when he had the meltdown in the last round. Turns out he had a case of vertigo that came on right in the middle of his round. He won last week, so it looks like Jason Day is back. And then I bring up Cameron Young because he's one of the longest drivers of the ball on tour. Problem is his short game really struggles, but he did finish top 10 at the PGA Championship last year. But Cameron Young can absolutely bomb the ball. He's going to have a massive advantage. This guy outdrives Scottie Scheffler and Jon Rahm and Rory McIlroy. This guy is just a monster off the tee. He's going to have easier approach shots, but he's going to be tough because his short game really does falter. But if you're looking at big names, Jon Rahm, Scheffler, Jason Day, Cameron Young, those are four that I would start to look at.
Okay, so we mentioned that the reason why we shouldn't have that negative reaction as I do to these big major events is because these are the types of guys that win it. I do like your approach. I've been betting a lot of top 10, top 20, top 30 over at the Barstool Sportsbook because I got hurt by those Jon Rahms, those Scottie Schefflers on Sunday. And it was really frustrating when you're holding a nice 25-1 ticket and just doesn't go your way. But there are some big names on this list that kind of have me worried. Who should we be avoiding this weekend?
He's probably the most popular golfer on tour, but he's a money pit if you bet on him, and that's Rory McIlroy. I mean, the guy, he's a fade. You cannot be betting on Rory McIlroy at these prices, and I see it every week. And look, he's a top 3 favorite to win. This guy hasn't finished better than 8th since 2015 in the PGA Championship. He's finished 47th and missed cut his last 2 tournaments on PGA Tour. His putting is his Achilles heel. It always has been. 4th round Rory, we call him. If he's near the leaderboard and it's the 4th round, watch out because his putting, I don't know where his putts are going to go.
So
it's not in the hole.
He should have taken the money and went to the LIV tournament.
Yeah, well, he's probably going to win a lot more over there, but he's just so overvalued. You can get Scottie Scheffler over Rory McIlroy this week at a head-to-head. You can take that. His putting is just absolutely terrible when you compare it to everyone else on tour. So, I mean, he's minus 0.10 strokes gained putting in the last 3 months. Kelly, that's awful. Jon Rahm is plus 0.71. He's giving away a stroke per round just with how horrible his putting is. So I'm staying away from Rory. Jordan Spieth, all of a sudden he's dealing with a wrist injury. This came out of nowhere. He withdrew from last week's tournament, and last week's tournament was in Texas. Spieth is from Texas. It means a lot to him to play in his home state. He withdrew because of a wrist injury, and the tournament before that, he was terrible. I think the wrist injury would explain that. Cannot play anybody that's dealing with a wrist injury on a course that plays this long. Cameron Smith, he won a major last year, but he went to LIV. He's just not been good at the PGA Championship, even when he wasn't playing on the LIV Tour. This is a guy that doesn't finish in the top 10 here. And to be honest, he wasn't that good at the Masters. He finished 34th. He didn't put on the display as the elite golfer that we've known him to be. He's a fade, and also Brooks Koepka is a fade. Brooks Koepka had the great final finishing position at the Masters, but even he said it himself. He had the break of all time with the tee times. He got the best weather Thursday and Friday, and then the next couple rounds, Jon Rahm hunted him down and passed him, and Brooks was average at best. Brooks is not going to have the best tee time again. I think everyone's going to be all over Brooks because they remember how good he was at the Masters. He's shockingly overpriced. This guy prices a top 5 golfer. I don't see it this week. You're going to stay away from McIlroy. What?
No, that's kind of my problem, is that because everybody loves those names, they're going to just bet on them because of who they are. They don't have these advanced analytics and metrics talking about, tee to green and how far they drive and their putting stats, all of these things that you spend all this time on. I love Brooks too, but I kind of wonder if he didn't just go off to the LIV tournament because he wanted to get that fat paycheck knowing he was maybe in the later stages of his career.
Brooks loves 2 things in this world.
Brooks?
He loves money. He loves money, and he loves Brooks. Yes. So he's very happy. I will say he did bring up a good point that the LIV schedule has allowed his body time to heal, and he did look a lot more healthy. I just don't buy with him. You're staying away from Rory, Spieth, Cameron Smith, and Brooks Koepka, in my opinion. And if you're staying away from him, Kelly, there's no reason you can't fade these people in head-to-head matchups. Scottie Scheffler over Rory has been a fantastic bet this season. If Spieth's wrist injury is an issue, you can fade him as well. So those are some big-name guys that are at the top of the favorites, and I'm sure you'll read a lot of articles saying these guys are going to be good this week. I'm staying away from them.
Love that. You know what else I love, Andy? I love me some big plus money. And in golf, we call those guys long shots. What have you dug up for me this week?
I stay away from these lesser names or whatever, but if you follow golf, Wyndham Clark has just been fantastic recently, and he has a win recently. And when you look at his stats over the last 3 months, this is a guy that if you were to just take away all of the names, you would think this guy is one of the top golfers on tour. He drives the ball fine. He's not super accurate, but he's very long off the tee. He's plus 0.51 strokes gained putting over the last 3 months. Wonderful. He's barely plus strokes gained around the green. That's fine. His approaches are great. His tee to green looks fantastic. You can grab him around 50 to 1. I wouldn't say you necessarily play Wyndham Clark as an outright, but a top 40, he's probably going to be plus money. You can look at him to make the cut, to put him in some other plays. This is not a short sample size on Wyndham Clark. This is his breakout year. He's playing great. He's off of everyone's radar. You put him in DFS. If you have him in seasonal fantasy leagues, he's a great play in there. A lot of value on Wyndham Clark.
I love that. I will be using him as well this week. To finish up, remind everyone where they can get all your golf bets over at WagerTalk, and then also give me your best bet for this weekend.
All golf bets at WagerTalk.com. Never had a losing season since I've been at WagerTalk. We're doing great, and had a losing week last week. We went 1-2. Obviously, just lost a couple units, which is super frustrating, but had a good run like 3 weeks in a row, I believe, turning a profit. And these majors are fantastic. We get all the best players in the world, and there's just a lot of bets and a lot of data out there to really make strong selections. So it's going to be low volume, but look for like 2 to 3 unbelievably solid plays based on the numbers and some of the lines that I'm seeing out there. Best bet I'm going to play right now is Xander Schauffele to finish inside the top 20. It's really important when you're playing top 40s and top 20s. Make sure you look at your sportsbook and know if they're using dead heat rules or if they pay out on ties. You're going to see a lot of different lines in these top 40s and top 20s, and that's because different books use different rules. Just check before you make a bet and make sure if you're using the dead heat or they're using the payout on ties. Why do I like Schauffele in the top 20? Well, it's kind of all this guy does right now. I mean, his last few finishes, 2nd, 4th, 10th, 5th, 19th. He's finished inside the top 16 in 3 out of the last 4 PGA Championships. So he's got good pedigree coming into a tournament that plays really long. And when you look at his stats, he's top 4 this season in total strokes gained, plus 0.61 putting, plus 0.35 around the green, drives the ball fairly accurately. Not the longest guy, but tee to green is really good, plus 1.73. He just finishes inside the top 20. He struggles to close the deal, so you can't take Schauffele to win these majors yet. A lot of value on top 25. I'm seeing around minus 125. So take Schauffele top 20 as a best bet.
Great stuff from Andy Lang. Make sure you guys give him a follow on Twitter at Bump Sports, and we'll see you guys for the next big golf tournament.